Volume 1, Issue 1 of the Centennial Commemorative for the Azusa Street Mission. The first chapter, or the first installment, is Truth for the Times. Truth for the Times. And I want to begin with a quotation from Pastor Michael Whitetesker, Geneva. He's written a document which he handed to me, I think 2 summers ago. It's all yellow paper, it's written quite some time ago. And it was on Pentecost, and it was called No Passing Phenomena. And in the foreword to that, I asked him to write a little something for the foreword of that, which I put in my book. He says this: in a recent issue, the London Economist has observed that those with the Pentecostal experience make Christianity the fastest growing religion in the world. This is written by a magazine, the London Economist. 500 million and counting. Of course, now that number has increased. Yet not so many decades ago, such were consigned in Europe, if not to the fanatical fringes of Christianity, at least to the other side of the railway track. That's a colloquialism. It means to the side that is not desirable. In fact, Pastor Michael goes on, he says, when my wife and I, and that was talking about Lorna in those days in Geneva, first went as missionaries to Switzerland less than 30 years ago, our own converts counseled us not to use the word Pentecostal in the church name. That was 37 years ago. I responded that the ignorant need educating, not having their prejudices pandered to, thereby perpetuating them. How things have changed today. The world, he writes, is taking notice. Realistically, though, if the lessons of history mean anything, truth may not triumph before the return of Jesus Christ, but truth will have its day. This is that day. This is that hour. And I want to underline what he said there. Truth may not triumph before the return of Jesus Christ, but truth will have its day. Right at the very beginning of the volume, right at the beginning of the manuscript, we are juxtapositioning, we're putting the return of Christ as the pillar upon which to hang the doctrine of Pentecost and of revival, because properly, as end-time believers, after 2,000 years, we are close, so close to the end that we cannot speak about revival unless we speak about the preparation that the Lord Jesus must make, is making as we speak. The renovation that must happen and is happening right now as we speak, first in our hearts, in our families, in our marriages, in our homes, in our churches, in our nation. The coming of Jesus Christ is the doctrine that makes sense of revival. Why is it that the Lord would give healing to his people? Why is it that God would release revelation knowledge to his leaders? Why is it that funding, that resources are given over into your hands, into my hands? I honestly believe that when Jesus comes back, and even right now as he's seated at the right hand of the Father, and of course no man knows the hour, the day or the hour, but I sincerely believe, as the Bible has already spoken, there will come a day, as we read in Matthew chapter 25, verse 21, when we will receive the accolade of accolades. We who do not live for the applause of this generation, but we who live for his commendation, not the praise of man, but for the praises of God, when he will say, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord." I sincerely believe that when Jesus returns, he wants to return for a fully renovated, a radically changed, a spotless, a bride that has not wrinkle or blemish. The purpose of the gifts, of the fruit, of the resources, I don't believe that Jesus is going to knock on your door with a tenka or pasalubong or all the little, gifts. He's already given those gifts to us. And now what are we doing with it? So regardless of our age, regardless where we are, 5 years or however many years down the road, we're going to look back and we're going to ask ourselves this question: if you'd had to do it over again, what would you do differently? And if you have a great long list of things that you could have done, but you didn't do them, then there will be, proverbially speaking, gnashing, weeping and gnashing of teeth, which is regret. And that's something that we are not interested in. Given what we have, doing what we can,